Happy Sunday. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Wherever it is in the world that you may be listening to the broadcast. If you're listening to the live broadcast, not much telling where you might be. And like I said before, if I don't seem to be looking straight at the camera, it's because I have the camera now up and back a little bit. Lighting seems to be better, and it's not stuck right up my nose, so to speak. So, just in case I'm not looking right at you or right at the camera, the camera is like up here, right there. So, well, that being said, happy Sunday. Hope everyone is doing well. Um, I do know that we need energies, candles, what have you, for some family members out there that are having issues, as it were. Positive thoughts for them. And must fill up the vape. And we're finally getting some much needed rain here in north central Texas, taking some of the allergens out with it, making it so that yours truly, in higher humidity situations, yours truly can breathe a little better. Of course, nobody else seems to like the sticky muggy, but I like it. But then we all know I'm a bit twisted. Well, looks like we're doing pretty good this morning. We got a bit of a full house out there. Let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? Anger. Anger, rage, pistivity, pissed off, better than pissed on. Unless you're into that kind of thing. Anger, nasty emotion. Anger is both a emotion and a physical response. Anger affects four of the main five human elements. And for those of you that have slept since then, spirit, physical, emotional, psychological, and sexual. Well, yes, anger heavily affects four of the major elemental groups, the human elemental groups. It also majorly affects our interactivity with society. Now, here's a bad thing, one of many about anger. And I'll be straight up front. I suffer from anger issues. Not near as much as I used to, mind you. But there was a point where I would, if somebody attacked me vocally, not necessarily physically, but vocally, I'd just walk up and just knock shit out of them. Not good. Causes for broken knuckles and a day or two spent in the hoosegow, or a bit of a major fine, as it were, especially nowadays. So I found that anger really is not healthy. But there's one aspect of anger that is less healthy than allowing that anger to go ahead and escape and explode all over someone's head. And that is the suppression of anger. Stuffing it down, putting it away, not dealing with that anger. Most of the time, if you suppress anger, then it will eventually explode all over a loved one. Um, Whoever said, "Hey, big brother, change the output of your deal there in Open Pagan Church so that it reads you and not actually Open Pagan Church. That way I know who's talking." All right. So, the expressing of anger by crying is good. Um, let's see. Who else has said what here? Nobody said much of anything. Oops. Cindy and them are experiencing storms, so she told me earlier hail and what have you, so she may be in and out like a jackrabbit, in and out of a jackrabbit hole. Alright. Let's see. Camille says if they're on a mobile device or a phone, that option is not there. No, I didn't know that. Right. Alright. What causes anger? Well, what causes anger could be any number of a mass array of things. Anger called road rage. I wouldn't know anything about road rage. Societal induced anger. Daily news can cause anger. Stupid people, yes, cause anger on a daily basis. Fear can cause anger, absolutely. What's one of the number one causes of anger today, not back in the ancients, but today? What's one of the number one causes of anger? Anybody care to jump on that one? What do you think one of the number one causes of anger are today? And yes, I know we got about a 15 or 20-second delay, so I'm kind of giving everybody a chance to answer. Society, okay. Government. Yeah, government. Well, that's not the number one cause, but it's a good one. What else? That's it right there. Hit the nail right on the head. Camille says jealousy. Idiots. Yeah, idiots. Camille hit the nail right on the head. This was the one I was looking for, jealousy. Jealousy, believe it or not, is the number one cause of anger, according to my research. Here's why. People today are jealous of jobs. They're jealous of people that have jobs to those that don't. Jealousy of ownership, possessiveness. That's mine, don't screw with it. And that comes in all forms, from relationships, friendships, partnerships, marriages, family interaction. Family interaction is the world's worst for jealousy. One brother or sister will have something that the other one does not, especially when we're kids. And unless that's curbed when we're kids, the older we get, the worse it gets. Jealousy, though, jealousy is everywhere, okay? It's very prominent in work society because obvious reasons. and we deal with it a lot. So and so will call, and they'll be like, "I want such and such installed on my computer." I'm sorry, that's a violation of security. I can't do that. Well, Mary Jane's got it on her computer. Why can't I have it on mine? Well, I guess we'll just have to uninstall it from Mary Jane's computer because that's a violation of security. Well, now Mary Jane is pissed because Jimmy Joe Bob called in and complaining because Mary Jane could jump off and stuck her head in the toilet, but Jimmy Joe Bob's not allowed to stick his head in the toilet, but because Mary Jane can do it, he wants to do it too, and he's jealous. Well, by all means, go stick your head in the commode if you want. I don't care. But here's a case in point. Not everybody can have everything. And I know people are going to come back with, well, why not? Well, it is just what it is. Anger is dangerous because one of the biggest things that my master always taught us when we were studying martial arts is the angrier you become, the more control you lose. The more control you lose, the less likely you are to come out of an altercation alive. Absolutely. If you go into an altercation and you're trying to defend yourself, you're trying to do so, and you're at the top of your rage, you've got that blind rage going on, you've got that blinder effect, that effect that just, needle point. You can't see what's going on out here. You can't feel what's going on out here. So when you allow yourself to get to that, what we call blind rage, and trust me, I've been there, done that, ended up getting quite a few scars because of it. But when you get yourself into that blind rage, it builds up, like said in the group, high blood pressure. Blood pressure goes up, affects the eyes and the ears, and you can't see or hear. And it can take an hour to several hours for that to calm down. So a lot of people that I taught self-defense to, their biggest question was, well, if I'm not supposed to stuff anger, because stuffing anger builds up problems later, how do I deal with it? It's called channeling and focus. Through channeling that anger through other means, you can do deep breathing, not to the point where you hyperventilate, but you can stop for just a second. Use my number one power word, stop. Use that number one power word, stop, because you know the signs when you begin to get into a blind rage. They're obvious. Stop and breathe. Get a wider focus on what's going on around you and take a look at what may be causing that anger. Is it jealousy? Is it a fear of loss, which is a form of jealousy? Is it a fear that you're not going to be able to do something that you used to? And that's self-doubt. I go through that all the time, especially at the age I'm at now. There are things that my physical body just simply will not do. I get it. I don't have to like it, and it does piss me off on occasion, but I have to deal with it. Improvise. Improvise is improvising is one of the best ways to curb anger. Because if you can improvise the things that you didn't used to be able to do, and you contemplate on that, that improvisation, that improvising, getting things done, then you tend to be able to get rid of that portion of the anger because you're proud of yourself because you thought of a better way of doing it. It says here, crossing arms or legs can calm one down. Never actually tried that. In psychology, we were always taught that if you cross your arms, you are closing off. You're essentially poking your chest out and you're closing off and you're blocking everything out. We learned that in communication psychology. When you're communicating with someone and they they cross their arms, that's closing someone out. Although crossing the legs, I always cross my legs. But I've never heard of that. Dave says it crosses signals. Okay. Whatever works. Dave says crossing arms and legs. Go for it. I have circulation problems in my legs. I try not to cross my legs, although I always cross my legs. So what are what are some of the really, really bad times to allow anger into a situation that you're involved in at the moment? Communication with family. Communication with a loved one. When you're having a heated debate with a loved one or a family member, the last thing you want to allow is for anger to conduct your conversation. Because I know for myself, once I reach that anger point, I tend to start flapping. And I'm not paying any attention to what the hell I'm saying. But that flapping is going on. And I end up opening my mockingbird mouth and stuffing my hummingbird ass into it, along with both feet. Not good. So, what are some other things that cause anger? You guys drop in the chat area there some of the things that cause anger. What causes anger for you? And I'll give it a minute and kind of let that sink through there. Yeah, I know, we're on a lag. But I'd like to see some of what causes you guys anger. Alright, let's see what we got here. Jerry says, miscommunication, absolutely. Loneliness, helplessness, driving with people, overly negative medical people. Debbie, I totally get it. Incompetence of said medical people. Yep. Um, thinking of my ex in Australia. Yeah, I get it. Absolutely. Um, Miscommunication is a big one, most especially today, the incompetence of medical staff. Totally agree with that. Deal with that all the time. Overly negative people. And one of the biggest things with me, I guess, um, manipulation. Absolutely. Manipulation. We live in a world today way worse than it was back in what people call the simpler days, the simpler times, as it were. Manipulation today is worse than it's ever been as far as back as I can remember. People manipulating other people to better their agenda. Michelle says being called a liar. Abso-freaking-lutely. I am perfectly fine with someone telling me I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. But then tell me why. But don't out and out call me a liar unless you can damn well prove it. Many times in the past I've been called a liar with absolutely no proof whatsoever. Oh, well, I just know you're lying. Okay, fine. Shut up then. You can't prove to me why I'm lying. Then it's best to be silent and be thought a fool than to open thy mouth and remove all doubt. I like where the video paused. Check it out. Life is a gift. Wake up every day and realize that. I like it. So, y'all can read what Jerry said. This is a family show, so I won't read aloud what he said, but I get it. Don't get in my space. Get out of my space, get out of my face. Absolutely. So, back to the point. And, oh, you're fine, Dave. You're fine. Um, Most people that are listening to it right now with their kids around, that's cool. Um, most of the adults will go back and read through the chat later, and they'll get a kick out of that. I loved it. Jennifer says, child molesters, major anger there. Well, that's not anger. Just take them, chain them to a calf pin, right? Tie their arms out and their legs out in a calf pin, drop their drawers and let a calf in there. And I'll let y'all's imagination take it from there. Like I say, this is a family show, so I better be nice for a minute. Anyway, yeah. So I want to take a few minutes, take a pause for the calls and a wee. So we'll kick off the music and the video here for about 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll come back and I want to discuss some of the ways that I deal with anger and get some of you guys to type in how you deal with anger. If you want, if you don't need a break, start typing in some of the ways that you deal with anger so that people that watch the broadcast later, maybe they can get some ideas. But we'll be back in about 4 or 5, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll talk about it some more. All right. I wanted to stop the video right there, and I'm going to leave the video there for just a moment. Dealing with anger. Cindy says the way she deals with anger is I stop, I count to 10, and then, when she's at home, she goes for a walk. That's really good. Jennifer says, while enraged, I plot, I plot my revenge. Let's see. Then she goes on to say, focusing how to send that emotion legally. precisely and with deadly accuracy. Love and joy. Yep. And Jerry really hits it on the head. Mindful breathing helps right music. The right music helps. The right focus helps a lot. Meditation can help. And one of the things that I really wanted to touch on as far as dealing with anger, like Jerry said, the right music. Now, I like old rock and roll. Um, I'm old, so I like old rock and roll. I've never liked angry music. Okay, head banging, acid rock, hate music. The kind of music where the only thing you can hear them say is, "I want to kill you. I want to kill you. I want to kill you." That's not the kind of music you want to listen to if you're having anger issues, guys. You don't want to hear some gremlin up there on stage with a frog voice going, "I want to kill you. I want to kill you. Wah, 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 wah." No. No. Shaking head really quick, rattling brains. Cookie Monster singers. There you go, Dave. And you have to deal with your anger. You can't stuff it. You can't cram it into a closet with all of your other refusal to deal with emotions. You have to deal with it. And like said, a walk is good. And if you can't walk or you can't walk any distance to kind of deal with it, you can meditate. But when you meditate, now you're going to think I'm crazy, but when you meditate, you want to picture yourself pulling that anger emotion out and put it in the palm of your hand or on a desk. But I like to put it in the palm of my hand and look at it. Why did you make me angry? Because I like to use focal points, physical objects, if you will. So if in my mind's eye I can pull that anger out, what the root of it is, and put it in the palm of my hand and look at it. Turn it upside down, right side up, turn it around. Why did you make me angry? All you are is a stumped toe. Why did you make me angry? And I'll tell you, I am the world's worst about using a tool to work on an automobile, and that tool will slip, causing me to bust one of my poor knuckles on a piece of metal. And I will end up slinging that tool, of whichever direction happens to be open. Then I have to go retrieve it. So slinging of the tool is not a good thing. One of my biggest things is if I trip over something, I want to go back and kick it. If I trip over a box, I want to go back and stomp on it and throw it at whoever left it there. If I open the freezer and shit attacks me out of the freezer, I want to pick it up and throw it at whoever put it in the freezer. These are some of my anger issues I work on a lot. Jamie says there's something to be said for the fact that other people don't make you angry. You allow yourself to become, I think she means angry, because of what other people do. Jennifer says punching bags are really good. Yes, they are. I've had several. The problem is, in this hole in which we live now, I don't have a place to put a punching bag. Boy, I wish I did. Yes, Jamie, you're absolutely right. People do not make us angry. We allow our perceptions of other people's actions to cause us to react with anger. Hey Jamie, this one's for you. Sure they did. They put that object in that freezer on a perfect tilt and said, Don's going to walk up and he's going to open the freezer and it's going to only attack him. I know it. It's a conspiracy, I say. They're out to get me, I say. Sound familiar? A lot of people have that same issue. They fall real quick into the personal attack conspiracy theory. The driver on the road. I love this one because I am a big recovering from road rage. And I just know that driver out there driving on the road at 50 miles an hour in the 70-mile-an-hour lane, doing this. I know they're doing it just simply to piss me off. I know it. It's all me. They're doing it just because of me. I'm the only one on the road. They need to move their ass off of it. But it's that mentality that causes the anger, isn't it? When they think they are the only ones on the road, and you're driving along thinking you're the only one on the road, then you have no other recourse but to think their actions are simply strictly to attack you. It goes back to that all about me syndrome. All about me. It's all about me. That is a big proponent of anger. Goes back to how do I deal with that anger? I remember and I remind myself. The object that was put in the freezer may well have been stable at the time it was put in the freezer. But as it freezes, it changes shape. And vibrations of the house cause it to shift. And when it shifts, I happen to be the one that opens the freezer and it slides out. I understand the science of it. I am a real big studier of science. And I'm a real big proponent of looking at cause and effect. Different effects have a different cause on different things. So in dealing with my own anger, before I pick that item up and throw it at whatever or whoever may happen to be standing there, I remind myself, it's not all about me. It's not all about everything to do with me. When I'm driving on the road and this idiot, either beside me or in front of me, is on their phone, or instead of using a Bluetooth headset or a headset of some kind, right? They've got their phone to their ear and they're driving down the road, if they happen to have a hand on the steering wheel at all, right? They're driving down the road and they're going, I'm blah 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 blah, and they are not looking at what's going on in front of them. They think they're at home. You're not at home. Or they're driving down the road and they may be listening to the radio, because I see this a lot, right? You see these people, men and women alike, and they got their hands on their steering wheels, okay? And they're driving down the road and they got their head banging music on, okay? And instead of watching the road in front of them, what are they doing? Driving down the road, got both eyes closed, not paying attention to what the shit they're doing. And it makes me want to go ahead and run into their ass and shove them off the road. Road rage, nasty thing. Anger, bad. It's the way you react. The biggest thing I try to do nowadays, rather than allowing those types of people to really affect me one way or the other, is one, I either try to speed up a bit and get away from them. If I can't speed up, I try to slow down a little bit, get a couple of lanes over and go on. Or if it's kind of an open freeway and it's not all that much traffic, and this idiot is banging his head against the steering wheel instead of watching the road, I'll tend to drive along beside him, right? Here's me driving along beside him, and I'm like, well, eventually they feel like someone's driving along beside them, right? So they stop and they look at you and you go, you look stupid. And then you drive on. Don't do that. Nowadays people carry guns in their cars and they will shoot you. And that's another point in dealing with anger. Got a bit of a cloud going. Almost looks like a fog in my office. So, what is the number one thing I've always said about dealing with anger? Right? Change your reaction to their actions. Right? Change your reaction to their actions, i.e., change the way you act when someone else acts a particular way. If you change your reaction to their actions, you will, over time, change the way they act. Some people are too stupid to know the difference. So if you change the way you react to that, then that allows you to be able to advance past your own anger. It allows you to be able to advance past the things that can cause you issues in the future. Here's why. Just in the last 6 months, okay, just in the last 6 months, in the Dallas area, there have been 6 or 8 deaths caused by road rage, where someone has followed someone who pissed them off and shot them. Really? I'm not kidding. Just because somebody pisses me off the road, I'm not going to shoot them. I mean, hell. Crazy. So, handling anger is definitely to stop. Stop before you react. Think before you react. Sean says, lead, don't follow. Lead by example. Don't follow the unintelligent. You're right. Do not follow the unintelligent. Because most of the time the unintelligent nowadays has a gun and will shoot you. I have certain things in my head that are already set in my head as to my reaction if someone pulls a gun on me driving down the road and I see it. Good morning, Sean. Good to see you. Not used to seeing you up this early. So, anger. Anger, like I say, is the most dangerous of all of human emotion. Anger is very destructive and very damaging, although we have to allow ourselves to experience anger. If we repress that anger, we shove it down, it becomes dangerous, not just to ourselves, but to those who are close to us. How many of you have had something during the day or on your way home or after you got home? How many of you have experienced something or someone else that has made you angry, and I mean angry, and you stuff it? You stuff it only to accidentally or unthinkingly take it out on your loved ones at home. If we think about it, probably every one of us have at some point or another. At some point in our life, we have taken out on a loved one the anger or the rage that has been generated throughout the day. Now, what is the difference between jumping up and down and screaming at someone and jumping up and down and screaming to someone? Anyone? What is the difference? I'll reword that a little bit. What is the difference in venting to someone about what went on during the day, and the difference between that and actually taking it out on them? There's a big difference. It's huge. It's totally, completely different. Michelle says making it personal. Sean says anger is a state of mind, a human condition. Agreed. Stresses of everyday, everyday stresses, yeah. Making it personal, like Michelle said. So, when you are taking something out on someone, blaming them instead of explaining it to them first, yeah, more or less. You know, let's say you come home, right, and there's a piece of paper laying on the floor. And that stupid piece of paper might happen to be the last straw. Snap! And you freak out over a piece of paper. Ah! And you just go batshit crazy all over everybody because of a piece of paper. And then once you've completely made a fool out of yourself, and everybody in the household is about ready to shove your ass out in the garage and close and lock the door quickly, you have that moment to stop that momentum and go, well, it was just a piece of paper. What I do, what I try to do, is, well, what we do in this household, okay? Each of us have an average 15 to 30 minutes to vent about our day. We do the same with our daughter, bless her heart. She's 11, hormonal, and angry sometimes, like a cat. So when we all get home, or well, a lot of times, when I go pick her up from the mom's, I'll ask her, I say, how was your day? You know, what happened with you today? And I'll turn off the radio, and that is her trained trigger that we have trained in her to release the anxieties and the anger of her day. And, you know, she's really got, you know, how'd you do on your test? How was your homework? How are the bullies doing in school today? So we put out trigger questions to allow our daughter to vent, right? And then we listen. Key, listen, interact. Don't get your child started venting and then be off somewhere else, checking your text or playing with your phone or some crap like that. If you ask your child a question, you have to listen, because I promise you they're going to expect you to have the magical answer of how to fix those hormonal angers. Wife and I do the same thing. We get home in the evening. We have 15 to 30 minutes or so, however long it takes, to vent about the day's events. And we're both in relatively high-paced, average stressed positions where things and people piss us off on a daily basis. So we take that time to vent. You have to give your partner time to vent and release those angers and anxieties. That's one of the big ways of dealing with anger, is being able to release it in a controlled fashion, just like a pressure cooker. Okay? Anger is worse than a pressure cooker. For the younger folk watching the video that doesn't know what a pressure cooker is, Google it, because all us old people, we grew up with pressure cookers. Loved them. They were the precursor to crock pots. There you go. Not crack pipes, crock pots. Yeah. Jamie says sometimes it takes me an hour or two. Yeah, well, there is that. Camille says, unless I have kids that bombard me as I get out of the Tahoe. Yeah, bless her heart, I've seen it. We have our security cams, and I watch for her to get home. And there have been times I've been looking at the security cam, and the truck pulls in the driveway, and about 8 kids around the Tahoe. They're like hovering wasp, ready to sting the first thing that gets out of the Tahoe. So Mama very carefully opens the door, and she's got 3 of them at the door. I've seen her close the door real quick and go, well, of course, anybody that's ever seen the look of the mama with the finger, you see how quick kids can scatter. Poof, gone. I don't blame them. I get the, I'm gone too. Shit, sticking around for that. Yeah. So, Cindy says you'll blow your own top and say something to hurt someone. Actually, absolutely. Yeah. So, vent. Dealing with anger is being able to vent that anger just like with a valve. Jennifer says, don't piss off the Fae. Oh, you have no idea. Ooh. But anyway, yes. Um, that's funny. I read that without my glasses on. I thought she said, don't piss on a tree. I was like, what? Sorry. I digress. Find your vent. Okay? Find what works for you. I don't recommend that you bury yourself. I've seen this. I've seen people do this, and it actually ends up only compounding the issue. Okay? Now, some of you are going to disagree with me, and I may get smacked when I walk out of the office later. But this is not something you want to do when you've had a bad day. All right? Everybody listening up? This is something you do not want to do when you've had a bad day. Do not go home and sit down in front of your computer and start running your social networks. Do not Facebook while angry. Do not tweet while angry, because you end up tweeting something that you're not thinking about, or you end up saying something in Facebook that you really probably shouldn't have, or you end up burying yourself in Facebook to the point where you just you bring in that cubicle, you bring in that tunnel vision, and nothing gets dealt with. You don't deal with the anger, you don't deal with the anxieties. You lose yourself in the computer, in Facebook or Twitter or whatever you use, Snapchat, whatever the hell it's called, and you lose yourself in that. That is the worst thing you could do, because what it is it's boiling up that anger and it's stuffing it down in that pipe. And eventually the shit's going to be like a Roman candle. So burying yourself in the computer is not a good thing. I find with me, when I've had a really bad day or something of that nature, I want to come home and do something. I either want to build something or I want to destroy something. Put something together. Go out, mess around outside, which is not something I can do much of living where we do, because there's not a whole lot of outside to do anything with. But find something constructive to do. Don't bury yourself in a book. I know a lot of readers out there like to come home from work and they want to kick off their shoes, get them a glass of wine, and lose themselves in a good book. Well, from a psychological standpoint, okay, and I say again, from a psychological standpoint, that is not healthy mentally, because you're not allowing yourself to exhaust the anger. You're using a physical object to attempt to try to forget the anger and stuff it. So it's essentially like trying to stuff this great big rag into a small fist. You can only get so much of it in there. And if I keep trying to stuff that rag in there, it's eventually going to pop out. That's what anger does. The more you stuff anger, the more of a possibility of it just exploding all over everything and everyone. Um, Cindy says, what about writing in a journal? That's generally good, writing in a journal. And I say again, writing in something or some place that you're not going to post on social network. I just, you don't want that kind of drama posted on social network. Jenny says, there's a friend of mine that vents a lot on Facebook. And see, I see that a lot. Okay? I see that a lot. On occasion, I like to post a little snippet. The only cure for stupid is illegal. Stuff like that. But I tend to, if I'm venting, I tend to like to not to get too wordy because people don't want to read a damn book, right? I've seen a lot of other people that will blow a one-liner out to Facebook to describe something that really pissed them off. That's not too bad, I guess. Sean says go for a ride. Absolutely. When I was able to ride two-wheel motorcycles, I loved it. Get on that thing and just take off. Helps clear the mind, deal with the anger. But you have to remember, stop yourself. Don't let your auto reaction self take that anger out on someone else. It could get very dangerous, especially on a motorcycle. Absolutely. So going for a ride is good. Going for a drive is good. However, I don't recommend that if road rage is what has made you angry, I don't recommend that you go out and drive to get rid of the road rage that made you angry to begin with. Find something else constructive to do. Yeah. What else? Slowing down and breathing is a real good thing to curb anger. Like I say, focus that anger, channel it into other things, not other people, but other things. It was mentioned punching bags. Punching bags are good. If you exercise, if you work out, if you can work out, going to the gym a couple of days a week is really good. So, yeah, you have to do what's right for you, right? You have to do what's right for you when it comes to venting anger. But one of the biggest points I wanted to make in doing the broadcast this morning on Open Pagan Church about anger is to be one of the, I'm the first one to admit I have anger issues. And I work on those continuously. They're not near as bad as they used to be, of course. But Sean says, sing a song. That works. Singing, music, drum. Drumming is good when you're angry. You don't want to beat the drum to the point where you rip the head out of it. But if you have a place where you can drum, play music, whatever is really good. Cindy says when looking back over her tenure, she can see the difference now versus then. Yeah, it's something that we used to talk a lot about in circle, dealing with anxieties and dealing with anger. Unfortunately, we don't have that circle anymore, but we still do kind of sort of here. It's just a digital circle. Drumming, Cindy says crystal bowls, absolutely. Brass bowls where you can sit and just hum the bowl, right? But, case in point, you still want to remember that when you're working the bowls and you're working the drums or you're working musical instruments, singing, doing whatever, working out with a punching bag, exercising with weights, whatever, make sure that you're allowing that anger to come out, okay? Bring that anger out. Don't use the exercise, the music, the playing of the drums, the bowls, or whatever. Don't use that as a way to suppress that anger. Okay? So we are, by my clock, 37 minutes past the hour. And of course, I've got to give a couple of plugs here. We broadcast every Sunday, unless there's something majorly off. We broadcast every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, noon Eastern, we're over on UnitedPaganRadio.net with Coffee with Pegasus. Then at 8 p.m. Central, we're on Live with the Shaman. If you find you would like those links, send me a PM, send me a message, and I'll be glad to send you a link. However, you can just Facebook Live with a Shaman with no spaces, Coffee with Pegasus with no spaces, or Open Pagan Church with no spaces. It's up to you. However you want to find us. If you're already in the HOP, the House of Pagans Facebook page, I've got tags in there where you can click on it and it'll take you over. So yeah, this morning we'll be getting off here shortly and getting ready for the conversation over on UnitedPaganRadio.net. I always enjoy these conversations. I do want to lend an invite. I want to lend an invite to anyone who would like to do an open pagan church who has a good topic. Reach out to me. Let me know your topic. We'll discuss how it's done. And I will be more than happy to... Dave says he likes my shirt. Thanks, dude. I will be more than happy to tell you how to do an open pagan church and get you set up. All I ask is if you say you're going to be here, okay? Not here in Dallas, but be here ready to go by 9:30, right? So, in the wisdom of the old shaman, the old minister here, stop and breathe before you react with anger. Don't suppress it. Find a channel. Find a way to get rid of it. Get it away and get it out there so that it's easier for you to live with. Don't allow your loved ones to take anger out on you. Okay? Don't allow loved ones to do that. Say something. And don't take anger out on your loved ones. Right? So with that, we hope to see you over on UnitedPaganRadio.net in about 20 minutes. Have a great week. Enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.